You can listen to the Canadian Gothic early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Include it with Prime.
You are listening to Keep Canada Weird.
Handsome Aaron Airport. I hope you're ready to party tonight. This is our New Year's Eve party.
It is, yeah. I'm really excited. I dressed up for you.
Do you have any champagne or anything like that?
I do have some wine, but that's not what I'm drinking tonight. I'm driving, so.
Oh, you're driving home from this party we're having on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, back into the living room.
I'm not partied out, although I have been partying pretty hard over the last week or so. Of course, it's the Christmas holiday here on planet Earth. How has your Christmas been? Are you having what they'd refer to as a Merry Christmas?
Yeah, it's been merry. It's been jolly. There's been lots of festivities, family and friends, and all the usual things. Ken Tiggs got a lot of new toys for Christmas, so Santa was really good to Ken Tiggs.
My sweet girl Penny got some new toys too, and she actually understood the opening toy process. My kids opened their stuff first from Santa, and she kind of took that all in. And then when it was Penny's turn, and I took a big bone-shaped present, she ran right for it. I don't know if it was the smell of the bone within it or the appearance of a wrapped gift, and she knew it was her turn. But yeah, we all had a Merry Christmas here. The weather was great. Santa delivered as he usually does, and I think everything, for the most part, went really well. And I'm excited now to wrap up 2025 with you at our first ever Keep Canada Weird New Year's Eve party. And it's a party, we're going dry tonight, meaning we're not having alcohol, but we do have special drinks. In my hand, I have something I haven't done before. This is a San Pellegrino, cherry and lemon San Pellegrino. I bought a big box of these at a place called Gateway Meat Market in Halifax, which has kind of cheap stuff. So they were only cheap, so I took a chance, and I've been loving these. What do you got to drink tonight?
I'm still on the tea train. Choo choo.
Okay.
Yeah.
All aboard.
So I have decaffeinated Earl Grey tea.
Wow. Nothing says New Year's Eve party like decaffeinated Earl Grey tea.
That's right. But it's not just Earl Grey tea in here. There's also a little bit of oat milk.
Oh, crap.
And Splenda.
Okay, so we are going nuts tonight, and we'll be celebrating, and we have a lot to celebrate. 2025 has been an incredible year for Keep Canada Weird. Let me just summarize some of the work we've done. We've released episodes 145 to 195, so that's 50 of our weekly Weird News roundups. So we only missed 2 weeks, which is pretty impressive. We did 7 mailbag episodes. We released 2 themed bonus episodes, that being entirely tires as well as specifically stairs, and released to critical acclaim, I must add. We did 3 Keep Canada Weird Remembers episodes, which was we talked about the worst person in Canada, the hockey heckler in Newfoundland, Corey Sims. We talked about the Saskatchewan bank robbery tunnel, and we heard about the funeral for a post office in Nova Scotia. And of course, we did 1 movie review, the film Canadian Bacon, which, if you know how to do the math from that list, 63 episodes of Keep Canada Weird this year. It's pretty impressive.
It's very impressive. It's a lot of the work, falls on my shoulders. Obviously, the listeners know that. And because you're so busy going to Gateway and getting expired food and meats, that you just don't have the time anymore, and especially with your new sweet penny and that whole can of worms. That's just
I've been doing a lot of petting this year.
Yeah, you've got too much personal stuff going on. So, but Canada sure kept it weird this year, and that was exciting for us to cover together.
What I would have liked to have a tally for is how many corresponded voice messages we aired. It was hard to tally that, but I guess if we did 63 episodes, when you break it all down, we probably averaged 2 or 3 an episode. So we probably did a good 200 correspondent messages. So this isn't just a party for you and I, Aaron. This is also a party for the entire Keep Canada Weird community. And I've been thinking about softening that message. We've been referring to them as the Keep Canada Weird Army, but I think we've already won. I think it's now time to soften it to the Keep Canada Weird community.
Well, I don't know about that, because if you take away the army, then we're left vulnerable for attack. So I think we still, even though we're not at war right now,
at war with the mundane,
I think it's important that we still keep the label army so that the mundane is always on guard and knows that they can't sneak attack us at any point in time.
Okay, I think that's fair. All right, Army, you're not disbanded.
Yeah.
Carry on. Well, let's get into it here. The best way to celebrate, other than listing the stats and the achievements and all the wonderful things we've done and patting each other and the Keep Canada Weird Army on the back, I thought the best thing to do would be just to break down what I think are some of the best stories of the year. And I also took, like, in going through the past episodes and trying to pick out the best stories of the year, I also found some obvious categories to put these stories in. And what we're going to do tonight is celebrate the weirdest Canadian news stories that we covered during 2025. But before that, I want to catch up on feedback to last week's episode. We released our Christmas special, which was episode 194, and we got quite a bit of feedback on that. I'm going to play one piece. This comes from a listener named Courtney, who was kind and generous enough to allow us to join her on Christmas morning.
Hey, Jordan and Aaron. This is Courtney, your faithful listener from Nova Scotia, calling in. Just wanted to let you know that my husband and I did, in fact, listen to the podcast on Christmas morning. We had our coffee and quiet time doing our crafts and enjoyed our podcast and got a good little giggle. You guys mentioning that nobody would be listening, but we were. So, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and thanks for keeping Canada weird.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you as well, Courtney. I must say that a New Year's Eve spent with decaf Earl Grey tea and sweetener and oat milk, it's about on par with Christmas morning with Keep Canada Weird and Arts and Crafts.
I'm really appreciative that Courtney allowed us into her home on Christmas morning. It's a very special moment for people.
It is.
And I'd be willing to offer this to not only Courtney, but the entire Keep Canada Weird Army and correspondence. But for a fee, you could have, I know me, myself, join you personally on Christmas morning. And I'll sit there and I'll watch you open your presents and have some cookies and some milk and hang out. And it'll be a large fee, but I'll do it.
Would you wear a Santa costume or elf?
That's an
or
additional
Grinch?
fee.
Okay.
I don't talk at all. That's also an additional fee.
You watch.
I just sit there and, I'll sip milk and I'll eat cookies and I'll watch. But then, if you want me to interact, if you want me to participate, that's an additional fee, which I'm happy to accept and negotiate. And, there'll be a contract to sign, a waiver, non-disclosure type situation. Yeah. I think it would be really special to in person spend Christmas with some of the listeners.
We have a whole bunch more voicemails to get to, specifically related to the prior episode we did. One thing that we did in episode 194 that generated a lot of discussion was more me than you, was Bash gift cards. We have many listeners who came to the defense of gift cards, and tonight we'll hear from a lot of them. And I will end up eating my words quite a bit and doing a little bit of backpedaling. But before we hear about gift cards and the horrible things I said about them, let's get into tonight's stories. We're going to revisit the weirdest Canadian news stories we covered during 2025. We had scams. We had stories involving video doorbells. We heard a lot of dumb crimes. We heard about a lot of animals. We were terrified about a lot of teenager stories. And then we covered quite a few bizarre people. So those are the categories that I've placed all these stories into. Where do you want to start with this, Handsome Aaron Airport?
All right, let's kick the door open with some scams. I think it's good to get the negative out of the way, and then we can enjoy the positive through the rest of the episode.
Yeah, we did do a lot of scam stories, countless scam stories. Some of them were good, like public awareness pieces, like specifically ones related to, seniors being scammed and, the ultra vulnerable being scammed. But the ones we're going to listen to tonight, the ones that I thought were the weirdest, I think, I don't know. It's hard not to laugh at these. The first one, this is going to take us back to episode 163. We covered two specific psychic scams. One involved Joanne Whalen of Whitby, who went public after she paid a psychic over $50,000 to make a man at the gym fall in love with her. And we also heard about a guy named Ray who spent $12,000 to get a girl to marry him. Let's listen to a portion of that news clip we originally heard in episode 163.
It's a trap.
Joanne Whalen went to a psychic who promised her she could make a man at the gym fall in love with her. It started with $500, but eventually she handed over more than $50,000. The love connection never did happen. We also heard from a man named Ray who asked us not to identify him. His wife had died and he started online dating. He went to a psychic to find out if a woman he met would be a good match.
He was telling me the girl likes you very much.
The psychic said he could make the woman fall madly in love with him.
The girl loves you more. It's like that.
If you give $12,000.
Yeah.
Ray married the woman, but they immediately had problems. The psychic said he could repair the relationship for more money. They told you they'd fix your marriage.
Yeah.
And did they fix your marriage?
No.
Ray gave 3 psychics $75,000.
I remember that like it was yesterday. My favorite part of that, and I think the piece of that news clip that they really didn't lean on, is the fact that one of the psychics, did they not get the woman to fall in love with and marry Ray? Because Ray first hired the psychic to get the woman to marry him, which worked. But then when the marriage broke down, that psychic that didn't fix that was the scammer.
Yeah, I can understand Ray going back a second time to be like, okay, you did well the first time when I wanted you to get her to fall in love with me. So that worked. They got married. So then when their marriage started to fall apart, he's like, well, maybe I'll go back to that psychic who was able to bring us together as a couple. Maybe that psychic can fix and pay whatever it takes to make that happen. Because if it actually worked and the psychic was able to repair the marriage, that would be worth whatever amount of money you would want to pay.
Absolutely. It'd be a whole different news story. But these weren't the only scammers that really blew our minds. The psychic scammers was a unique twist on it. But there was one other story that is very memorable to me. This is the story of Galina Bailey. She is a woman from Winnipeg who was scammed twice. Once by an investment schemer and once by a scammer who pretended to be a lawyer that helps people who've been scammed.
It destroyed everything. Destroyed our life.
It started about a year ago when Galina Bailey says she and her husband found an investment company on social media which they believed to be legitimate.
They were investing in Netflix, in Tesla, those companies. They were showing us how it's growing. We had our page there on the computer where we could see it. And nobody realized that it's just empty page.
Months later, she says their so-called financial advisor started threatening them, saying they owed thousands of dollars in credit and had to pay up or go to court. With $50,000 lost, Galina says she turned to a UK-based lawyer she found on Facebook, who promised they could get her $500,000 in compensation. But she believes this too turned out to be a scam, as she was being asked daily for more and more money.
He offered me to sell my kidney to pay him.
With their savings drained, Galina says her family took out loans, lines of credit, and equity from their home to pay the lawyer, totaling $150,000. Galina doesn't believe she will ever get her money back, but she hopes this story can be a warning.
It can happen to you too, one day.
Oh, man. I remember that one like it was yesterday as well. One issue I always have, though, when covering these scam stories, it's hard not to laugh at them, but there's a person on the other end of that story who is out their life savings, and that sucks.
Mm-hmm. And the unfortunate thing, too, I mean, there's many unfortunate aspects to these scam stories, but one thing that the general public needs to know, if you do get scammed, there's no way that you are getting your money back. There's nobody who's going to be able to bring these people to justice. As one of the people said in the news coverage, it's like this money gets transferred, into Bitcoin and across all these different wallets, and then it becomes completely untraceable, and nobody's ever going to get arrested for the scam. And because I remember when early in the scam days, and there was one particular scam that people were calling people's homes, like their landline, and saying that there was an issue with their computer and then asking them to, give the login to their computer and everything and their password so that they could remotely log into their computer and fix the issue.
Okay. Yeah, I
And
remember
this,
those, like tech support scams, I think they would call them. But yeah.
yeah. And this happened to my stepmother, and I was over my father's place at the time, and she had received a call, and we weren't really paying attention. She was talking to somebody on the phone, and then she's wandering around like, my dad's name is Perry, and she's like, Perry, what's our password to the computer? He's asking for our password, and then like my ears started to burn. I was just like, whoa, who is that? And so, but she was about to hand over all the information. And then, so we called the police because, again, it was early in the scamming climate. And we were feeling that maybe there was something that police could do. So we called them, and they're like, there's nothing we can do. These people are calling from overseas. It's completely out of our jurisdiction. He told us they're basically untouchable, and when they call, just to hang up the phone.
Yeah, absolutely. I did, not on Keep Canada Weird, but just as a regular Canadian Gothic episode this year, I partnered up with MasterCard during like fraud awareness or cybercrime awareness month. And that was one of the things that their like main investigator told me, is that it's all about awareness for these scams, because you can't stop them once they happen. You can't catch these people very rarely. So it's all about just being aware that how common these are, because, again, once you send your money, it's gone. And this woman in this story, Galena Bailey, she went as far as to find a lawyer on Facebook, of all places, that was going to get her like $1 million in compensation, which just sounds ridiculous. How is the lawyer on Facebook going to hold the scammer from God knows where accountable to the point that they get cash to give to her? I feel bad for people, but I guess when you're desperate, maybe it's a bit easier to believe in the impossible. But 2025 on Keep Canada Weird, we had a whole bunch of scam stories. Those were just two of our favorites, but I'm just going to have to go out on a ledge and say my favorite of all the scam stories we covered this year was Ray, the guy who we just heard from, who did manage to marry a woman as the result of some work of a psychic, but the second psychic wasn't able to keep the marriage together. That's my favorite scam story.
Yeah, it's a great one. I would love some detail in what the psychic did to bring those two together, like what strategy the psychic used, because obviously the psychic is a scammer, but what did they do to bring them together initially?
That's a good point. Another, not a great scam story, but an unexpected scam story from 2025 was we heard about the airport in Newfoundland who released like a public statement about romance scams because they were having so many people showing up at the airport to meet people who don't exist as the result of romance scams. But anyway, let's take our first break of the night. When we get back, I'll choose the next topic, and I'm going to choose video doorbells. When we get back, we'll hear two of our favorite stories involving video doorbells from 2025. Handsome Aaron Airport. Before we get into the weird video doorbell stories from 2025, I want to play you another bit of listener mail related to our prior episode 194, specifically related to my hatred towards gift cards. We got so many voicemails in defense of gift certificates that I'm not even going to play individual voicemails. I made two separate collages, which is just a mishmash of various voicemails. Our first collage in support of gift cards will include Amy, as well as two different listeners, both named Angela.
Hey, Aaron and Jordan, it's Amy, your correspondent from Oregon in the States. I'm taking a break from my usual call-in topic of banning fetishism and calling to support Aaron on the gift card conversation. I agree with Jordan, generally speaking. I think they're kind of a cop-out. But in terms of specific situations, this year, I got a gift card for a specific clothing store because they know that I tend to spend my money not on myself.
I think that the stores should be putting them behind the counter so you go to customer service and purchase them. That way, I think it would resolve the problem of them getting stolen.
My name's Angela from Cape Breton. I agree with mostly everything, but there is like a flip side to it when you're a parent, because oftentimes when you're gifted, say like money or a generic gift card to Walmart or somewhere where you can spend it on your children, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be spent on your children. Right now, my 8 and 6-year-old boys are not really into Lululemon, so I'd have no choice but to spend that on myself.
A lot of good points made there. And you'll hear this repeated over and over again. And it's something I didn't think of when I was bashing gift cards in episode 194, is that giving someone a gift card may force them to do something for themselves, where if you gave them cash, they may not do it. Like our second, I think it was the second Angela had said, is, if you gave her cash, maybe she'd buy something for her kids or spend it on her kids. But something like a gift card to Lululemon may encourage her to treat herself. And that's a part of gift card giving that I don't think I thought about. But the middle clip we heard there, which was about a technique to avoid people getting scammed and ripped off by the gift cards, was if the retailer kept the gift cards behind the counter, it may prevent people from being able to rip them off. And that's it. That just brings up again the dark side of gift cards to me, where the retailers know that if we have all the gift cards behind the counter, we won't sell as many. They want you to walk by and just grab them. So they're almost allowing a certain amount of theft and fraud in exchange for increased sales, which again makes me shake my fist at gift cards.
Right. I don't know if people impulse gift cards as much as you think, though, because anytime I purchase a gift card, I already know I'm going in to buy a gift card, so I wouldn't mind if they're behind the counter. And I have seen some places that do only keep them behind the counter. And then I see a mixture as well. Sometimes like the Visa gift cards, like the high profile ones, are behind counters. And then the $15 Tim's cards are out in the sewers and the swamps where they should be.
Yeah, that's a good point. Either way, though, I think those voicemails, and that's only the first batch of them, they highlight something I never thought about with gift cards, which is requiring the person to spend something on themselves that maybe they wouldn't have had they got cash from you or a check into their bank account or something. But all that to say, that's just from episode 194. We got to move on. Let's hear some of my favorite and your favorite stories involving video doorbells. The first one I want to share brings us back to episode 145. We heard about an Edmonton porch pirate who got a stinky surprise after a video doorbell filmed him stealing a bag of dirty diapers.
It's obvious they don't care.
Porch pirates are hijacking the holiday season. They'll take anything. And that fact gave one homeowner some accidental retribution.
I didn't plan for revenge, but, it's just kind of funny.
William Tigor was surprised to see a porch pirate taking a package at 5 a.m. on his doorbell camera. Little did the thief know, it was a bag full of dirty diapers his wife forgot about.
She was planning to take it out of garbage, but she didn't have time. She doesn't want to leave like a bag of like a dirty diaper inside the house, so she just put it outside the front door.
The thief realized the nasty surprise before he took off.
He literally picked it up to the front door. He walked through here and he noticed it's like a dirty diaper. I ended up throwing it to my lawn back.
It was a familiar neighborhood porch pirate too.
I think it's the same guy that stole my gardening tools.
Video doorbell catches him stealing a bag of what was probably frozen diapers full of poop and pee, because looking at some of the footage we see in the news clip, it does look like it's wintertime.
Yeah, poop and or pee for sure. But if anybody, I think, is thinking about using this, because this was accidental the way it went down. They just happened to put out, a box or a bag of used diapers, and then a porch pirate thought it was a package of value and then took it. So that just happened coincidentally. But if anybody's thinking about doing this as a way to get back at porch pirates, I would be very leery of that, because, if a porch pirate, if you disguise an Amazon package intentionally, and then the porch pirate takes it back to their lair and opens it up and it's dirty diapers or just piles of feces or jars of pee, then I think that porch pirate will then have extreme motivation to retaliate against you and then show up masked to your doorstep in the middle of the night and pee and poo on your doorstep.
That is true. That would give you some comeuppance, and that would kind of turn the tables of this F around and find out, because this porch pirate in this story did screw around and they did find out. Yeah, it could backfire, I think. You could find yourself on the receiving end of an F around and find out if you tried to lay a trap like this for a porch pirate. I think what's best is have a video doorbell and don't leave bait or things a porch pirate can steal on your front step. But if it does happen, maybe that video can get you some extra play and help get that porch pirate caught. Let's move on to our next story involving video doorbells. And there's not going to be any decision or any consideration. This is my favorite story of 2025 that involved a video doorbell. This one is going to take us to British Columbia. It's from episode 157. In British Columbia, we heard the story of the door-to-door Rogers salesman. Rogers is like a company that does like home internet and TV and all that sort of stuff. We heard the story of a door-to-door Rogers salesman who was caught in the act doing something pretty disgusting in a home's carport.
Once this door-to-door salesperson realized no one was inside, they took a walk around the Salmon Arm home.
Got an alert someone was at our front door, and then it said someone was in our carport, and then we reviewed the footage, and he was standing at the tire there, and I thought he was going to try break into the vehicle. And
instead, the Rogers sales rep did something Slew says was far worse.
And then unzipped his pants and took a leak on the vehicle and casually walked away.
Slew, who was out of town at the time, watched in shock the bizarre act unfold in an area where his children play.
Like, I usually pull the vehicles out and they practice riding their bikes in there, so it's even more personal because they don't need to ride their bikes through urine.
In a statement to Global News, a spokesperson for Rogers says the individual is no longer employed by the vendor, and we've reached out to the impacted homeowner to apologize for this incident. Rogers has also offered to pay for the cleaning of the vehicle and carport.
I'm kind of expecting a bit more. It definitely ruined the last night in Nanaimo where we were, and driving home, all I could think about was someone peeing on my vehicle for no apparent reason.
This incident making Slew more weary of those knocking on his door.
Door-to-door salesmen, they're always disrespectful, very pushy, and I'm just glad this was caught on camera.
I remember that one very clearly. What are your thoughts on that? Having several months to kind of allow it to brew in your mind.
Yeah, because I have been marinating on this one for every night before I go to sleep. I think about it. And I think he really unfairly paints all door-to-door salesmen with the same brush here. And I don't think that's fair.
Have you ever had a good door-to-door salesman experience? Because I haven't.
I don't think it's fair. We all remember the negative experiences with a pushy door-to-door salesman. So those stick out in our mind, but I'm sure there are many upon many lovely, hardworking, honest door-to-door salesmen out there.
Yeah.
I think it's a line of work that gets a lot of flack, and it's unfair. And I think the way this guy handled it, and he was trying to scam he's a scammer, actually.
How so? He wanted more than to have his car.
Yeah, he wanted his vacation paid for. That's what he wanted, because it ruined our last night in beautiful downtown Nanaimo or wherever he was at, and he was trying to get Rogers to pay for his vacation, and I think he was turning up the dial, exaggerating the trauma that he went through.
Mm-hmm. You might be right.
I think so. I don't like this guy. Sure, I don't condone peeing on someone's vehicle without consent, but I think what could have really happened here is that this door-to-door salesman, probably in a suburban neighborhood, had to pee really bad, realizes that, and sometimes when you've got to pee for a while, it reaches a boiling point. Not literally, but it reaches a point where you have to go right now and you don't have a choice. he was looking around, this door-to-door salesman, I'm sure, and being like, okay, they're not home. I can't use their bathroom. I have to go right now. I'm going to tuck into this carport and I'm going to pee there. And that's just the reality.
On the car, though, there's not a bush. He didn't pass by a bush, like, to actually pee
I
on
don't
the
know.
car, because he pees on the tire of the car, like the passenger side front tire of the car. I think it's very strange. And like this guy, I'm not as mad at him as you are. I'd be pretty upset if I saw that. And it is kind of like a personal thing. Like it's not like you're peeing outside where the rainwater is going to wash it away. You're peeing inside the carport. That's just a thin line between peeing inside my house on the floor.
But the irony of this is that he probably sought out the carport because anywhere else he'd be exposed to the neighbors and the entire neighborhood would be seeing him pee. So he's like, I have to pee in the carport. And he's making a very quick decision here because he has to go right now. So the urgency is influencing his choices. So he goes into the carport. He's like, I have to pee right now. Where do I pee? Do I pee like on their step? Do I pee on the floor? I'll just pee on the car and maybe the tire will disguise a bit of it. Like, he probably had to think real fast, made his decision, went for it, and then got out of there and didn't realize that he was on camera the whole time.
Yeah, not only on camera, he was going to be on the news. He was going to lose his job over this urination.
And then this guy who wants a free vacation, wants to get this guy fired, and then paints all door-to-door salesmen as urinators and vagabonds and derelict individuals of society.
Mm-hmm. Basically as criminals, which leads us to our next category of stories. During 2025, a reoccurring theme on Keep Canada Weird was a segment that we would call Dumb Canadian Criminals, which were just stories either involving police behaving badly or police catching people or on the hunt for people who behaved badly. I picked out three of our favorite stories involving dumb Canadian crimes. The first one, I don't even want to revisit this in much depth because it was such an annoying story. This spanned episode 164 to episode 166, and it all surrounded a girl named Kenzie Hardy, who we referred to as the cringiest prison escapee of all time. She was the young woman who was released erroneously from a prison as a result of this like fake letter showing up, and we kind of followed along as she was on TikTok baiting the police after erroneously releasing her. Let's listen to a little bit of a news story that we originally aired on episode 166 that involved her being captured after her weeks on the run.
They're not gonna catch me. That's 24-year-old Mackenzie Hardy, and just one of the videos she posted to TikTok while on the run from police. Videos police say helped them track her down in Revelstoke, BC on Tuesday.
She's quite active on TikTok, kind of taunting police, taunting the courts as she was on the run from police, and it garnered a lot of attention.
But Hardy wasn't alone. Police arrested her alongside her boyfriend, 27-year-old David Joseph Wood. Police say the duo was walking away from a stolen vehicle. This is the pair on May 17th when Global News interviewed Hardy and met her boyfriend.
What's your name?
David.
Police say it was Wood who helped Hardy escape and have charged him with assisting escape of prisoner, identity fraud, and uttering a forged document. Hardy told us she didn't know how she got out.
I seriously think it's a government mess up.
I'm as annoyed by her now as I was back then.
Yeah. It's such an interesting story, though. I remember when we originally covered it, I was so impressed with the fact that they were able to achieve what they achieved in this whole thing. The letter being able to get her freed, and then the fact that she was able to evade capture for so long, even while, ceremoniously posting her entire journey on social media.
Yeah, and going on news and giving interviews. In the end, I don't know if you recall this, but I have a bit of an update in this story. In the end, when she was starting to gain a bit of a social media following on TikTok as a result of her releasing these videos and appearing on the news and all that stuff, I think she tried to kind of monetize the attention by launching a GoFundMe that was to raise money for I I think it was for her boyfriend who he was sick and had to be off work and such. They launched a GoFundMe. I just took a look at that and I saw the GoFundMe. I think it had a goal of like $10,000. It only received one donation for $50 from an anonymous person, which I think is, I'm just going to guess it was probably her herself.
No, it was me.
You better not have. No, you hated her.
I was impressed with the operation of the whole thing.
Yeah. In the end, like this hasn't gone to court yet, but the boyfriend, David, was charged with, like, among other things, identity theft. So it sounds like what the RCMP believe happened is he was the one who put together the letter pretending to be like a prosecutor or something, who that letter went to the prison saying, like, we're dropping the charges, let her out. But yeah, it was in a way a bit of an intelligent operation, but not really, because they were so foolish to document their exploits and ultimately bring enough attention to get themselves arrested. Not to mention that this whole thing happened, I think it was like a month or two, or maybe even less than a month before she was about to be released anyway. That was like one part of this that was weird. But let's move on to our next story. This one wasn't as annoying as Kenzie being on the lam, but this, of everything we covered during 2025, this next story is probably the highest profile weird Canadian news story. This was something that was covered all over the world because of how bizarre it is. Of course, I'm referring to the man arrested in Prince George, BC, who was drunk driving a little pink toy Barbie Jeep with a suspended license, I must add.
Yeah, that's key.
An unusual traffic stop this past Friday morning. Officers stopped and eventually arrested an allegedly impaired driver piloting a pink toy Jeep along 15th Avenue in Prince George. Police say the man was creating a risk for himself and others, driving the battery-powered toy along the busy roadway. Officers say the driver had a suspended license and failed 2 breathalyzer tests.
I didn't think you can get a DUI on a Barbie truck. I think it's really hilarious. Like, it's funny. It's just, I gotta go to court though in December.
He was arrested and brought back to the RCMP detachment, and a full impaired driving investigation did find him driving over the legal limit.
Lincoln says the toy Jeep belongs to his roommate's 3-year-old daughter. It is back with her, and apparently there is no damage.
Now, this story seems like it's ready for an update because he says himself, the guy charged in this, is that I got to go to court in December. I took a look and could find no information related to this alleged or supposed court date in December. So I don't know what came of this. The only update really I have on this story is this guy became a bit of a folk hero just because it was such a ridiculous news clip and very meme worthy. But I did find a local news site from the Prince George area was saying, like, don't laugh at this guy. The police were probably out to get him regardless. And then they published his criminal record, and he has a very storied criminal record. And not everything on his criminal record was the kind of stuff you'd laugh at. So I'm starting to think in this story, maybe this was something where the police were like, oh, there he is. Let's just get him.
Yeah, we'll get him for this ridiculous thing so that we can, punish him for all of the terrible stuff that he's done.
Yeah, but it's that news clip, I've used it at the end of a lot of our episodes where he's like, I didn't know you could get arrested for driving a Barbie truck, but I got to go to court in December. And this is a really good clip.
Yeah, because he says, it's kind of funny, although I got to go to court in December.
Yeah, it's not that funny. The only other one that I really wanted to highlight as far as a crime-related story from 2025, and this is another one that kind of was shared far and wide, mainly because I think TMZ covered it heavily, but we covered on episode 149 the story of the Fort McMurray man who got in a bar brawl that ended up with him being his pants and underwear falling down. He's pinned to the ground by the police face down, and in the process had his private parts frozen to the ground. I'm sure you remember that news story.
Oh yeah, this is a very dark one and gives me nightmares often.
Yeah, but you know what? There's not a lot of news coverage about it. I was looking around to see if there was any update, any news. What really is getting shared around is the video of the incident, which you can't really hear anything other than the moment when they lift the guy up on the ground. You
Ugh.
see that his penis is kind of stretching from his waist to the ground where it's frozen, and then he kind of lets out a scream. It's pretty awful, but it's really that video that is shared far and wide. Not really news about what happened, charges, etc.
What the state of his penis is.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about this man's penis since episode 149.
No. And you've been searching on the internet for this man's penis.
I did find a couple good headlines, though. One was Blake McPhee wasn't expecting a night out earlier this month to end with an icy predicament or by arousing interest from cocky commenters online. That was a fun play on words. But
yeah.
Anyway, of all of the crime stories we covered, is there any you can think of that is your favorite?
Of all of the ones that we just talked about?
Or any others that we missed?
There's so many. I wouldn't be able to think off the top of my head.
Not butter theft in general?
Butter theft is a good theme. Actually, you probably could have had that theme tonight too, because there were so many butter thefts over the year and over the past number of years, actually. But that sounds like its own episode sometime.
Yeah. We also could have had a category of like theft from bakeries, because we got quite a few ice cream theft. A donair was stolen, several bakeries. It's like a thing.
Yeah, and how we had, specifically stairs entirely tires. I wonder what we would call a butter episode.
Busting butter thefts.
I think the word bounty could be in there because it's stolen butter, so it's almost like it's it's being held ransom.
Yeah, well, we'll think on that as we go through the next category. And this next category is going to be an interesting one. Something we've covered a lot in 2025 and years prior to that is stories involving animals. Animal stories are in the news all the time here in Canada. As you look through Keep Canada Weird's episode archive, you will see that those stories are often strange. I got two of them here I want to remind you of. This first one I completely forgot. We got to go back to episode 150 to hear about the wild turkeys who were running wild in Montreal. Tell me if you remember this story.
Whether it's waiting for the bus or simply trying to take out the trash, wild turkeys are an everyday occurrence in this Montreal borough.
They're a bit mean, but anyway, we're used to them now. It's been like more than 6 months here, so they were like babies and grow up, and we're used to them.
Sauntering down the streets, the wild birds can often be seen stopping traffic.
They stand in the middle of the road and they don't even bother.
But yes, I believe that this will become essentially normal.
Experts say due to warming temperatures, wild turkey numbers in Quebec have been steadily climbing over the past 2 decades. Quebec has a spring and fall hunting season, but only in rural areas. So, safe from hunters and with plenty of food and shelter, the resourceful birds are thriving in urban environments, leading to sometimes comical run-ins.
They've been known to chase people and dogs and postmen and policemen and so on. They stop traffic. They even scratch cars.
The city of Montreal says interactions like this are all too common now, and they ask residents to keep their distance from the wild animal and not to feed them. Experts say, well, there are other ways to keep the animals away.
Use like yells, whistles, air horns, opening a large umbrella. People have done this, using water hoses, brooms, throwing a tennis ball, using leash dogs. I have a whole list of these things.
While others are simply gobbling up the chance to get a little closer to nature.
That was a good story. And what I like about that one is it just kind of it hits a lot of the basis that all of the animals and animal uprising stories we cover have. We hear about, nature kind of taking back the developed land, and we hear about like bylaws and laws allowing that to happen. It's an interesting mix. And of course we hear of the human struggle of dealing with these wild turkeys.
Yeah, it definitely is a good highlight of the battle between two species. And I think that, the wild turkeys took over and nobody's going to push them out of there. And this is going to happen in all of our towns. This is something that we need to be emotionally prepared for.
I wonder what's going on there now. I looked for new wild turkey stories from that area. Didn't really find anything. Maybe it's not in the news anymore because everyone has accepted it.
Yeah. Well, because there's no news coverage coming out of there because the wild turkeys have taken over and they're controlling the media. And now you might hear a story about wild humans kind of wandering the streets.
That's true. It's all propaganda now. It's like all news stories about like great things you can do for turkeys.
Yeah.
Let's move on to what is, I will spoil it up front. This is my favorite animal related story of the year. This involves the Canadian hardware company Rona kind of getting canceled, or at least getting in a little bit of a trouble with a donkey sanctuary as a result of their insensitive ad related to donkeys. This comes from episode 159.
Whoa, who half-assed this framing?
A cheeky ad campaign from Rona features a handful of contractors complaining about construction projects where corners have been cut.
No one likes a half-ass.
All of it emphasized by a donkey missing its back half as it wanders about, overhearing people complain about so-called half-assery.
Actually quite stunned and horrified, like I couldn't believe my eyes what I was seeing.
The commercial has the Donkey Sanctuary of Canada going on the defensive. Janine Holman is the Puss Lynch organization's executive director and says it is demeaning to donkeys.
I actually felt physically ill. It really left me with a very negative and empty, just a very bad feeling.
The idea of the ad is that Rona will then help make it right, but the sanctuary feels Rona is in the wrong.
Donkeys are hardworking animals. Donkeys around the world are in for example, third world countries, working in the kilns, brickworks, collecting garbage in cities. They're smarter than horses. Where we deem them as being stubborn or stupid, that's really not the case.
That's a great story.
Yeah, it's more her that makes the story so good, because I think she's probably the only person that is actually offended by this ad in the entire country.
That's what I thought. Like, someone should look into this donkey sanctuary that's so offended by this, because I wonder if the donkey sanctuary is literally just her.
Oh, it's definitely just her with a television and like maybe two donkeys. And, and the donkeys, and the donkeys don't understand. They don't know what this ad is. They wouldn't understand. That's not taking anything away from the intelligence of donkeys. But then I remember when we talked about this the first time, she takes a moment to crap on horses. Well, they're smarter than horses, she said.
Yeah, what did the horses do?
Nothing.
Yeah.
The horses aren't involved in this thing. Why do you got to drag their name down? Because you don't like an ad that Rona put out that is, a CGI donkey.
Yeah, I don't know why this was on the news. Like, I don't know who cares about this. It's not, even if the donkey sanctuary is this large group and they're all offended, like, it's not harming donkeys. Maybe it's perpetuating stereotypes about donkeys. But even if so, like, does that affect donkeys? Even if everyone in the world or in Canada thinks they're dumb, what harm would that do to donkeys? Who cares? It's a stupid ad. It's a stupid news story.
Yeah. I think all animals are beautiful. All animals are, and I've submitted to the animal overlords many times on this show openly.
I don't think donkeys are a part of it, though.
No, I think so. I think I think they're going to be they're going to have equipment, and who's going to pull the equipment? The donkeys are.
Horses. Aren't horses stronger?
They're not smart enough. The horses aren't smart enough.
That's right. I guess time will tell. Well, let's take our final break. When we get back, we can move on to stories related to teenagers and stories related to bizarre people. Right after this break. Handsome Aaron Airport. During 2025, a lot of the stories that scared us involved teenagers. Let's revisit two of our favorite teenager stories from 2025. The first one involves a Kelowna family who found themselves under siege by teenagers. We first heard this story in episode 161.
I don't feel safe in my house. and I feel like there's potential for something worse to happen.
A Kelowna family on the verge of moving after a series of unsettling moments at their home.
I was sitting in my room getting ready to go to bed. My blinds were open, and all of a sudden I hear just some really, really loud banging on my bedroom windows, and so that was terrifying. I thought that my house was being broken into.
For over a year, the family says they've been terrorized by a group of teens who bang on their doors and windows and hurl rocks at their home late at night. Global News is keeping the family members' identities and home anonymous as they fear retaliation.
On Thursday, it started again. It was the first time it started this year. And they basically pounded on our house every half hour, doing different things. One time it was scraping, another time it was pounding. Another time it was pounding on the windows.
This went on over the course of the evening until RCMP arrived on scene.
Some youth were believed to have fled, and then we remained in the area. They did not return after the second incident as well.
The family says it has no idea who the teens are or what their motivation is. The family says the teens were recently seen wearing masks and intimidating other neighbors in the Kettle Valley area.
Kids being kids, no, actually this is harassment. It's not just ringing a doorbell, it's pounding on your house, and it's multiple kids to shake your house, to scare the hell out of you.
Yikes. That's the kind of stuff that scares me. One problem with that, I don't know if we highlighted this the first time around, is they're concealing the identity of the man who's on the news. They don't show his face or show his name, but they show his house a bunch of times. And I would think, like, if the teenagers who are doing this are watching, they're going to know it's about them. And if they're going to retaliate, whether or not they show his face, they can still retaliate.
Yeah, because wasn't that the one where the story where the camera was pointed at his stomach the entire time?
It zoomed in on his belly the whole time.
It zoomed right in on his stomach. And I was thinking, like, there's got to be a better way to film, a more flattering way to film somebody who wants to be kept anonymous.
Yeah,
but,
like that, disguise the voice and do the pixelated face thing, but to just zoom in tight on his belly.
Yeah, and he has a little bit of a belly, nothing wrong with that, but certainly not something that you would want highlighted for an extended period of time on national news. But
no, certainly not.
So these teenagers, they're going to know who this is, and they'll be back.
Yeah, they'll be back. Let's hear about a teenager who didn't get away with it. This was one of my favorite stories of the year. Certainly one of my favorite teenager-related stories. This came from episode 167. It was the story of a teenager who effed around and found out at a Tim Hortons in Saanich.
Tim Hortons is steeped in routines and double-doubles. But on this day in late April, the only thing brewing was trouble.
I get a chocolate bar whipped at my head. And so I turned around. There's like a 14-year-old kid standing there. So I just kind of gave him a stink eye. And then I heard an old man start yelling, so I just whipped the phone. I knew something was going to go down.
Isaac Campbell captured the altercation on video. You see a man leaning over a booth where the teen is sitting before hitting him several times.
I started feeding him with punches, which got broken up pretty quick. People started yelling, and this is where this guy gives his little speech.
Others surround the table talking to the teen who was allegedly throwing food at customers, hitting the man's wife.
You think it's funny, eh?
It ends when another man steps in, slapping the teen before walking away.
Holy smoke.
The video, posted to Campbell's Instagram over the weekend, has since gone viral, with more than 11 million views.
I'm worried about the youth of today, but I applaud the guy for defending himself and defending his wife.
Many commenting have shared that position.
Talk crap, get slapped type of moment, and like justice being served. You can see he's kind of like getting in his face first.
Campbell figures the senior was giving the teen exactly what he ordered. A little discipline served fresh and hot.
That was a good one. Another story, that's another example of something a weird news story we covered that was spread far and wide. A lot of people talked about the old man punching out the teenager at Tim Hortons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the news reporter seemed to really celebrate the violent aspect of this by at the end basically saying this was justice served fresh and hot.
Yeah, that's hard to take that stance when it's a child getting punched in the face, though. But it's like everyone likes a justice story. And we've all been in that situation where there's like these rowdy teenagers in a place and you're like, oh, I'd like to go over there and smack them. Most people wouldn't do it. This old man did it, and it doesn't necessarily surprise me. More surprising is the other guy who walked up after the fact and got a slap in the face in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I wonder if charges ever came out of this. I didn't hear anything about it.
No, I don't know. I have not heard an update on this story since it happened, but still fresh and hot in my mind.
Yeah, certainly. Let's move on from teenagers into our final segment, our final category of stories we covered during 2025. And this is simply stories of bizarre people. We had a whole bunch of stories that were just people who were so strange, so unusual, and so newsworthy. I got 3 of them here that I pulled out of our 2025 archive. The first one, I don't know if we need to listen to this news clip, but do you remember the bird feeding lady? This was a lady in British Columbia who built a bird feeder that kind of like, it was like a pair of sunglasses with a paper plate glued to it. So when she put on the sunglasses, put bird feed on the paper plate and pulled her hood up, she could just sit there and watch the birds.
Yeah, I remember it. It really grossed me out.
Yeah, it still grosses me out. And in fact, it grossed out the news reporter because there was a lot of, and it grossed out a lot of people online who saw videos of this because a lot of people were worried she was going to catch like the avian flu thing. Like there's a lot of sicknesses you can catch from animals, let alone letting them basically sit on your face.
Oh, yeah. That's such a
disgusting,
interesting way to put it.
Yeah. But speaking of interesting, there's not much more interesting than a divorce that gets ugly as a result of one person's interest in Sasquatch hunting. In episode 149, we heard about a BC judge who denied marital support for a man who was trying to get money from his wife on the grounds that if he's good enough to go Sasquatch hunting all the time, if he's in good enough condition to go Sasquatch hunting all the time, he should be in good enough condition to work.
A BC man's obsession with finding Sasquatch has led to quite a contentious divorce. According to a recent decision handed down at BC Supreme Court, an unnamed 57-year-old man's repeated hunts for Sasquatch is the reason why he is not entitled to spousal support. The couple separated in 2020 after the wife found out he went on one of these searches with his ex-girlfriend. He tried to claim spousal support from her, saying he was injured on one of those trips, leaving him unable to work. But the judge didn't buy it because the man had since gone on multiple camping, fishing, and Sasquatch hunting trips.
That is such utter nonsense. Everything about that story.
Yeah. It's interesting, the whole Sasquatch aspect of it. Because the judge, I guess, must have some type of idea about the physical demands that it takes to hunt Sasquatch. In order to make that ruling, to be able to say, well, if you can go Sasquatch hunting, which I know for a fact is physically demanding, emotionally demanding, and mentally draining, then I know that you don't deserve spousal support.
Yeah, I'm more interested in learning about the ex-wife. Like, imagine her side of the story. So the marriage ends because her husband is Sasquatch hunting with his ex-girlfriend. And then when they're going through the divorce proceedings, he wants money, and you got to get a lawyer to prove that if he can Sasquatch hunt, he should be able to get a job. Like, when she hears the word Sasquatch, she must just be stricken with anxiety and various PTSD symptoms.
Yeah. I think anybody who hears the word Sasquatch should have some type of a fear run over their spine. But
really, I think he's a friendly beast.
No, the Sasquatch will tear you to shreds.
Okay. Let's move on to our final story to look back on. This is a big one because it's a story that involves bizarre and unusual people, but this is also the story that inadvertently led to our Entirely Tires story. Our Entirely Tires episode. This comes from episode 158 as well as 159 of Keep Canada Weird. And this is the story of the Scarborough landlord who was hoarding tires in the backyard of his rental property.
It's a backyard in a residential neighborhood in Scarborough, unlike almost any other. You won't find lounge chairs or outdoor furniture here, just used tires, hundreds of them, piled high.
We can't use the backyard, we can't come out here, we can't do anything.
The used tires are stacked up behind this rooming house on Healy Avenue. Neighbors want them gone. For weeks now, the tires have been sitting here. The city issued an order they be removed. Don Stevenson lives in the home.
The city told me to have these all gone by today.
The order, it was ignored. And neighbors say they're not surprised.
A lot of our neighbors have complained about maintenance from either grass being taller than myself and a lot of garbage litter in front.
There's no gate, no front fence, nothing preventing anyone from entering the backyard.
If somebody wants to walk in the house in the middle of the night, they can because the door doesn't lock.
The rooming house owner is Zaid Hossein.
I'm Sean O'Shea, I'm a television reporter at Global News.
I caught up with Hossein outside the house.
You've been ordered to take the tires out.
Yeah, like a temporal, I'm just helping my family, okay?
But why do you have all these tires in the back? Why? You're not...
He's helping my family.
9 people live in Hossein's rooming house, according to Stevenson.
What kind of a landlord is he?
Slum.
Stevenson describes his living conditions.
Well, we got the cockroach problem, we got the stove problem, we got no furnace at all. We got mice like you wouldn't believe, we got rats around.
Stevenson says cockroaches even got into his computer, which doesn't work anymore.
I know when the guy took it apart over at the repair shop, he had to take it outside. They were just running right out of the computer, very small ones.
So as for all those tires in the backyard, taking them out?
Yeah.
When?
Very soon.
For now, hundreds of tires still there.
I filed that one under bizarre people, thinking the landlord was a little bit bizarre, but really I think a lot of people involved in that story were odd. Like the man who had the bugs in his laptop, he just came across as strange, but he's the victim here, living in the home of a slumlord. Strange situation, but I think maybe this highlights the housing crisis here in Canada, where people have to live like this.
And it certainly highlighted the tire situation in Canada as well. So because, you know, having being this story and a few others inspiring us to eventually do entirely tires, we found out that this country has a sordid past, present, and future with tires.
Yeah, it's interesting because that was one of our first tire stories. That was episode 158. Since then, we've frequently been hearing stories involving tires. There was the red cars. Remember, there's like a bunch of tires getting slashed on red cars, as an example. But there's been a lot of tire stories for whatever reason. Maybe it's because there's a lot of tires and vehicles out there in Canada, but it just seems to be the gift that keeps on giving is tires. But all in all, those are kind of I think for the most part, I could say that those were my favorite stories of 2025.
Yeah, it was a good year. And I think that batch of stories that we talked about really covers the mood of the year, I believe, very well.
Yeah, but there's a lot more that we didn't have time to get into. I feel like every episode has at least one story where I'm like, this is one of my favorite stories ever. Going through the 2025 archive of episodes, it just reminded me of so many great moments, and it just seems to keep getting better. I'm really excited for what 2026 has in store for us. For any listeners out there, if you heard a story or remember a story from 2025 that you think should have been featured tonight, let us know in a voicemail. Go to thecanadiangothic.com/contact. We'd like to hear what we missed, because maybe we'll have to do like a 2025 wrap-up mailbag, because I'm sure the listeners are going to have a lot of different opinions.
Or they're just believe us and move on with their lives.
Yeah, you guys nailed it. That's every single one we would have thought of.
There was nothing else worth talking about.
Let's wrap it up here with a couple more voicemails. I told you when we did episode 194 last week, our Christmas episode, we got a lot of feedback related to gift cards. My second collage in support of gift cards comes from listeners Greg, Katie, and Wendy.
Hey guys, it's Greg from Bowmanville, Ontario, and I just finished listening to the latest episode of Keep Canada Weird, and the topic of gift cards was brought up again. I love getting gift cards as opposed to cash. My mother, who is in her 80s and doesn't get out to do much shopping anymore, always writes me a check for all holidays now, and while it is quite generous and greatly appreciated, what always ends up happening is it just gets deposited into my bank account and joins the rest of the quickly diminishing funds in there that's used to pay things like the mortgage, loans, bills, etc. Well, that extra cash does come in handy, especially this time of year. It never gets used to buy anything fun.
Hi, this is Katie calling from Brampton, Ontario. On the gift cards, I have a point to make. They're great for someone like me because if you just give me a $50 bill, I'm not going to do anything fun with it. It's going to go in my account and I'm just going to save it or use it for mundane things like, paying my phone bill, which is great. But also, it's nice to be encouraged to do something fun like go to the movies or go to a restaurant and have dinner with friends or my boyfriend or whatever. So I appreciate gift cards very much.
Hi, Jordan and Aaron. This is Wendy from North Carolina. I just wanted to weigh in on the whole gift card versus cash debate. I like both. I'm fine with either, but I do think sometimes it's nice to get a gift card because I have kids, and if I have cash, it's probably going to end up going to something for them, or it's going to get used at the grocery store or something rather than going towards something for myself. So that's kind of my take on the whole gift card thing, but I'll accept either, honestly.
So the listeners have spoke up, and I do see gift cards in a different way. I guess when we were talking last week, I wasn't thinking about the whole like a gift card requires you to get a specific thing. I was thinking more like it's an inconvenient version of cash, and the only reason to give someone a gift card would be as if you don't trust them with cash. I never thought of the flip side of that is maybe you don't trust them to do something fun with the cash, and the gift card may require them to do so.
Yeah, I kind of, I was arguing in support of gift cards, but I was using the example of my mother who may or may not be a drug
Yeah,
addict.
that's right.
And and how I want to make sure that she gets to use a gift card in the way that I want her to use it and not on whatever she.
Yeah. So maybe gift cards are good for people who A, you don't trust with cash or because they're so reckless, or B, people you don't trust with cash because they're so conservative and so smart with money that they won't do something fun. They'll end up investing it.
That's right.
So, if you think like, I need to get a gift for someone and they will either smoke it or invest it, maybe either of those options, a gift card's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad you come over to the light here.
And I want to play one other voicemail. One of the listeners who we just heard from, Katie, in support of gift cards, she also went on to answer a question we called out for a while back. We were asking people for interesting place names. This was, I don't know, it was 30 episodes ago or something. Interesting business names, I think, is actually what we called out for. But she had one that she's been wanting to tell us about for some time, and we might as well hear it now and end our New Year's Eve party with this. Here's Brampton's best business name.
Oh, there's one other thing. I was going to call in and then I chickened out. And it's from a long time ago when you had an episode and you guys were talking about funny faux restaurant names. And Brampton had one that you guys talked about called the Asian Walk and Roll, which is great. But across the street from my dance studio growing up, there was one called Faux King Noodle. So Faux King Noodle. It's always made me laugh, and I thought you guys would maybe enjoy that too. Anyway, keep doing what you're doing. I love your show, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well, Katie. And yeah, Faux King Noodle. I did Google it, and it's not open anymore, but that was a business in Brampton. And when I looked at some of their branding, I found an old copy of their menu. I don't think it was done tongue in cheek. I think they were actually like the king of faux. So they called themselves Faux King Noodle.
A faux king.
Yeah.
I could see that happening. Yeah. And I applaud them.
Like a fortunate mistake. That's pretty hilarious.
Oh, it's excellent. And especially if it was unintentional, that's even better.
It makes it way better, and I think it was.
And they should reopen this place now.
All right. Well, anyway, this is our last episode of 2025. Aaron, it's been a blast this year covering the weird Canadian news stories with you.
It's been an excellent year, and I look forward to 2026. And I can't wait to see what weird and crazy stories happen in this country in the new year.
Should we do any kind of like Keep Canada Weird resolution? Is there anything we should do differently, or just the same but more?
The same but more. And I don't make resolutions, so it's not my thing to to set some kind of a benchmark for the year where it's like I have to meet this goal or else the year is a complete failure. So I like to set the bar nice and low.
We did 63 episodes this year. My New Year's resolution is to do 64 or more in 2026.
Yeah, and we'll get T-shirts made up, 64 or more.
Handsome Aaron Airport, until next time.
Jordan Bus Stop, Backhoe Bonaparte, until next time.
I wish you and every other listener of Keep Canada Weird a Happy New Year. Cheers to 2026.
And Jordan, until next time, this service that I'm offering where, a listener can pay a fee for me to spend Christmas morning with them, that extends to other holidays as well. Obviously, New Year's is coming up because we're recording this a little early. And I'd be happy to show up to somebody's New Year's for a fee. And then there's other holidays in 2026 that you could take advantage of. There's Mother's Day. There's Easter. There's any full moon. There's the entire summer. Grading Day. There's Labor Day. There's anytime it rains.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. Now, if any one of you listening want to get more involved in what we're doing, we need all the correspondence we can get. So if something weird happens in your area, or if you have any thoughts on anything we discussed tonight, let us know about it. The best way to reach us is by using the voice recorder that can be found at thecanadiangothic.com/contact. Now, I'm going to start wrapping up the episode, but before we part, let us thank a few people. First of all, Aaron and I want to give a big thank you to all the correspondents who contributed to this episode. If your voice message was aired on the show, go back to thecanadiangothic.com/contact and fill out the form to claim your swag pack and Keep Canada Weird badge. We'll happily get it right out to you. Next, a big shout out to Unicole for the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data, who provides the outro version of O Canada that you're about to hear. And then lastly, but most importantly, we have a massive thank you to every one of you listening, as without your interest and your support, this work would be impossible. And for any one of you out there who want to support the show financially and get more out of the show at the same time, please consider the premium feed. Our premium feed subscription costs just a couple bucks a month, and that money will fund the creation of new episodes. But the premium feed will also give you those episodes early, give them to you ad-free, and give you access to a full back catalog of Keep Canada Weird episodes and bonuses. You can go premium at thecanadiangothic.com/subscribe. And even if the premium feed isn't for you, you can still support the show by simply sharing episodes on social media. That's free, and it's a big help. So until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and please keep Canada weird.
And keep Canada weird. Please keep Canada weird.